What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And today we're doing a new set of series of these videos where we go through, the game modes and all their free-to-play characters, and just going through which of these units are worth picking up. Of course, it's been a while since I've done one of these types of videos, and as time progresses and more units come out, some of these units either will become better, some of them become worse, and as new players get injected into the game, a lot of them will ask, which of these characters should I be investing my treasure map tickets into? And of course, that is exactly what this video is for, helping you guys that are coming into the game determine which of these characters you should ultimately be picking up first. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We have a lot of characters here, so I kind of want to fly through a lot of them relatively quickly. There are a lot of them that are just bad, or units that don't see a lot of play anymore, so we're definitely just going to skip over them, but the good units, we will talk about them. Mihawk, no. Whitebeard, he's actually kind of solid, not too bad. Cavendish, also kind of okay. Luffy, I'd say he's a bad unit, but he is actually kind of good in the Grand Voyage versus Buggy, because you need a quick free spirit and a Luffy character on your crew, and depending on your team build, you can actually use this Luffy for it. But outside of Grand Voyage, this character basically sees no play. I think Ace is still okay. Sabo, because of the recent cerebral buffs, is also still okay. Don't even bother with this Zoro Sanji, he's terrible. I'd say Kizaru is bad, but he's not useless. There are some still key places where you can use him. I think that Big Mom is an amazing character. I kind of want to leave must max for characters that are like legitimately broken. I think Big Mom has some really good, amazing abilities, but I don't think that's, at least not in today's day and age, I don't think Big Mom is ultimately one of those must max characters, at least not at the moment. Crocodile is just terrible. Jack, I think, is actually amazing because he's unique in that he removes damage immunity, and he also removes increased defense. I think he actually removes % damage reduction as well. A very unique special. Not too many characters in the game that can do what he can do. He also is a damage dealing special, so you can have Cavendish support, you can have Smoker support. He's just a good unit. He's just pretty solid. We've got Eneru, who doesn't really see as much play as what he used to. He's kind of mid. Shanks, I'd say, is also kind of mid. A lot of these characters are going to be in that really mid tier of characters. I think Hancock is a bad unit, but there are still cases where you can use her. Law's kind of mid as well, but I think I'd want to put him as a bad unit. Law has a lot of good supports though, which definitely helps him out. I think Nami is a pretty awesome unit, though she does give really good utility, but the problem with Nami that I've seen, at least in more recent content, is that the utility doesn't help as much because it only removes a lot of these debuffs by 3 turns. And I guess, if you're a newer player jumping into the game, if you're playing some more lower level content, then yeah, Nami's probably going to be good. But when you get into more endgame content, Nami is never ever going to see play. Kaido, don't even bother with him, he's terrible. I think Dofi's pretty terrible. Smoothie Oven are, they're good, but they just don't see a lot of play. Edward Weevil, I think, is pretty amazing. He removes attack down, a lot of turns of it. He's also an attack booster, and I think if you're a newer player, he's going to be a pretty nice character to get. I think Shanks, Ben Beckman are just a bad unit. They just got a really weird design, and, they're probably not going to see a lot of play for a lot of people. Same with Lucci, bad design. Fuji Akainu, I think, actually really good. They got a switch ability that provides you with an orb boost to int, strength, and dex characters. They've got end-of-turn damaging effects. Their captain ability for free-to-play is okay, but of course, dual units, especially free-to-play dual units, probably don't want to use them as captains too often, but not too bad as a sub. They've got some pretty unique abilities. Now, this Garb right here is a unit that you purchase from the treasure map shop by tickets. He's not like a character that ever came out as like a boss that we'd farm for. This Dex Garb is a lot of investment to get him ready to play. I would say just don't bother with him for what he provides to your team. He's never been required for any piece of content in the game, so I would say steer clear of the Dex Garb. Smoker, I'd say he's just a bad unit. He's fine, but you're probably not going to use him too much. I think Blackbeard is pretty good. If you're free-to-play, he's got a great free-to-play captain. He's got a really solid special too. Synergizes well with some of the other inter-driven / powerhouse-related characters in the game. He's just a very solid unit. Hawkins is a bad unit, but sees niche play. Nami, I think, is also kind of bad. I think Orobi, very similar to Nami in that she provides good utility, but the utility is only by 3 turns, so it doesn't help you that much. but there are some key places where Orobi will be kind of good. I think Drake is a bad unit. I think Rebecca and Viola are pretty good. They're special providing with a chain lock, and they've got healing, I think, with their switch ability. They're actually not too bad in Pyrumble if you want to run more of a defensive style team. Doesn't see too much play, but, you know, if we're trying to find out what the gimmicks are of a boss and, you know, how much HP does a certain boss have, running that unit for their switch ability is pretty nice. You know, obviously chain locking, as we mentioned, very, very solid special. We've got the Vivi here. Vivi, I think, is just a solid unit. She's just good, provides attack boost. Double special launch is also pretty good. Shirahoshi is just a bad unit. I probably don't bother with her, honestly. Luffy, I think, is pretty good. He's near the top, but the problem is he is a Luffy character, so there's lots of overlap with this character, but good utility. He's an orb booster. Pretty solid unit. Zoro Juror, I would say, is a must-max character for a couple of different reasons. This guy is probably the treasure map character that sees the most play because of the fact that he's mainly just used for wave clearing. Double special wave clears is so good. He's a damage dealing special. He gets rid of damage threshold with his special ability. He also is a Zoro character, so he has access to some pretty good supports as well. His captain ability isn't really that useful, but the fact that you can use him to wave clear and the damage does go through defensive effects as well, which is really, really nice. Zoro Juror, I'd say, without doubt, is a must-max. He's so good. Reiju is amazing. I would almost say Reiju is a must-max. Like, block slot manipulator. I think she gets rid of Threshold and Rainbow Shield, I think. It's one of the two defensive effects, or two of the three, should I say, key defensive effects by 5 turns. She's poison and also a poison conditional booster. She is ridiculous. Like, Reiju is really, really good. We've got the Nami and Sanji. They're just okay. Nothing too crazy to talk about with them. I think Jinbei is very close to a must-max. He gets rid of a lot of paralysis. He gives you color affinity. I think he might have another key piece of utility as well, but Jinbei is very good. He's actually a very solid unit. We've got Pudding, though. Pudding's not very good. I think Kid is okay. The thing about Kid is that he's actually very, very good in the Grand Voyage versus Alvida. So if you're looking to build a team for that, this Kid is going to be very good against that Grand Voyage Alvida. Outside of that, this Kid essentially sees no play. Garp, I think, is also relatively solid. Komurasaki is good, but she has a bad design. A few tweaks to her kit would definitely make her a lot better. Queen, I think, is just a bad unit. Luffy and Ace are just solid. Shirou, I would say, is probably a must-max because he has good synergy being int. He's a slasher-driven. He's got a color affinity special. He's got a utility special. His support effect is also very, very key, allowing you to get around poison, and he attaches to any int character in the game. So a very, very nice support in regards to what he can do. Koala, I'd say, is relatively average. Zoro Juror is very good. He gets around like 6 turns of threshold. He's an attack and an orb booster for Psy characters. So if you're building a mono Psy team, or free spirit team even, then this Zoro is gonna be good. Kaido, I'd say, is relatively mid. Doesn't see too much play. Stussy, not very good, but she's fine. This Luffy is very good. Tempted to put him up here actually because of the utility that he actually has. He gets rid of like attack down, he gets rid of special bind, so a free to play special bind remover is very good. He's an attack booster for the crew. He's got a rainbow captain, but of course it's a free to play unit. Don't know how often you use him as a captain, but he's still pretty solid. Robin, I think, is around an average style unit. She's an attack booster mainly. That's her main key focus to int, fighter, and cerebral, but not really required to beat content. Moria is pretty bad. He's just got a terrible design. I think Hyogoro is pretty good. He's got a couple of key pieces of utility. He gets around a lot of increased defense. He gets you matching slots. He allows for color affinity. He can also do base attack boost depending on the captain that you have and stuff like that. Hyogoro is a very, very solid unit. And then we got to Shigi. Now this is another unit that you may want to look out for. Very good in the Grand Voyage versus Axe Hand Morgan, as she provides threshold removal. She's a color affinity booster. So if you're looking to beat that, then you may want to invest in Shigi, just depending on where your account is at the time. Perispero is pretty solid too. I like what he does, and the main key thing about him, I believe this is the Perispero that can attach to a striker character, and if you use a special, you can lock striker characters' slots for 1 turn. Very awesome effect that he has, but he also allows for multi-turns of chainlock, and I think he does multi-turns of end-of-turn damage. Like, just a very unique special with what he has. Kanjuro is pretty bad. Ulti is kind of bad, in my opinion. Saba's pretty good, but nothing to write home about. We've got Moria. I think Moria's pretty good too. Again, like more synergy with driven powerhouse units. He's a chain booster. I think he gets rid of special bind as well. Just a really solid special. Frankie is ridiculous. And since his release, he's been essentially seeing a lot of play in like a lot of recent events. Mainly because he has been a booster in a lot of events recently. But not just because he is a booster. He's actually been very good. His special is very unique in what it does. He gets rid of like a lot of defensive effects. I think he gets rid of like 6 turns of increased defense. He does like, he's a damage dealing special, and he gives you like multiple turns of a chain lock. He's just a good unit, and Frankie has actually a couple good supports too. And the last 2 units are from Film Red. We got Sanji, and we have the Chopper. So Sanji, I'm not the biggest fan of Sanji, but the thing about him is he does get rid of attack down by 5 turns. It's pretty good. And he does get rid of damage immunity, which is a really uncommon debuff. So I think for that, Sanji's kind of in the almost high tier. And then the Chopper, I think the Chopper is in the same tier as Sanji. I think that this Chopper is very good, but his special for specifically stage 3 is really, really high. And I think that if that stage 3 was like the baseline special at like a 13-14 turn cooldown, probably would have him in the must max tier. But still, even this unit at a base level, even with stage 2 special, he's still going to be a good unit. He's still going to see a lot of play. He gets around a lot of gimmicks. He provides resistance down. He's a healer, just providing a lot of unique abilities. This Chopper is very strong. Although at the point of me recording this video, we haven't had too much time to actually use him at the moment, but I can definitely see this Chopper being a valuable unit moving forward in content. But with all of that, it's just a very, very brief rundown of which characters you should be looking forward to. I definitely agree with the characters in this top row here. These are the ones you want to invest in first. They're probably going to help you out the most. They have the best utility. They're going to see the most play. They help you in more content. And then the characters in the tier below that all have very usable abilities for sure. But then after the first 2 rows, at that point, it's really up to your discretion in terms of what you require for your account, what characters you're focusing on, because all of these characters can help synergize with a lot of other different units in the game, and it is really dependent on what you have in your character box. But I'd say definitely focus on the top row first before looking at some of the other characters here. But with all that being said, that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching, and if you guys enjoyed it, make sure you go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.